Hi everyone, I'm going to talk to you about the Shang Dynasty today. This is going to be your additional information, and I know that my video is a little glitchy, so I apologize if my face freezes on you. But the Shang Dynasty lasted from about 1700 BCE to 1027 BCE. Let me just play here. They were very much like the Egyptians and the Mesopotamians, who built their city and empire near rivers. If you look at the map here, you can see the Huanghe and the Yangtze rivers. This red area is where the Shang Dynasty set up their empire. This is where they built their homes next to really important rivers, because we know there are so many great things that you can get from rivers. They also believed very heavily in their ancestors and the importance of burials, and how if you were a really important person in their society, you would be buried with all of your belongings that you would need in the next life. They also set up their cities just like Mesopotamia, with the important buildings being in the middle and then the smaller ones being outside, closer to the fences. This is the capital city of Anyang. If we move on, they also believed very much, like I said, in the afterlife, but people would be, or religious leaders, they would be able to read oracle bones, and they would ask their ancestors questions. And they would use, there's a picture of a turtle there, because they would use the inside of a turtle shell to ask these questions. And they would heat up this needle, and they'd put the needle on the turtle shell, and the cracks, like the religious people, religious leaders could read the cracks and get the answers from the cracks in the turtle shell that the people, like answers to the questions that people had asked. They also used logographs, which are the first writing in China. And they're known as logographs, and they use that language to communicate. The next, oh, and you guys, by the way, these are sketch notes. So this is another way that we can record and make notes for ourselves. And unfortunately, we're not in school to learn how to do it, but I figured I would use these so you could see kind of what they looked like. Anyway, important contributions in government. If you look at this, this is a territory with all of these lines. They had different territories within their empire, but they were all united under one Shang rule. And they would put their relatives in charge, kind of like the Mauryan and the Gupta empires. They put their relatives in charge of these provinces, and they all ruled underneath one empire, one ruler. And it was hereditary. If you remember that word, hereditary, meaning it's passed down to family members. They also built a lot of bronze weapons and a lot of bronze goods. They had a really strong military, and so they would use bronze to make these swords and weapons so that they could fight more, or fight better, I should say, sorry. And they were at constant war with other areas. They used elephants and horses in the military, which is pretty cool. They also had a really strict social structure. It started with the emperor at the top, then the nobles underneath, who would supply soldiers and weapons, and then artisans, those skilled craftsmen, underneath the nobles. After that, you'll see that they had merchants and artisans, and then the farmers, and then slaves. Slaves were sometimes like POWs, meaning prisoners of war. Farmers were the largest class. They worked on land that was owned by nobles. And the craftsmen were actually really important in terms of helping the economy, because they made a lot of money for the empire. The downfall of the Shang Dynasty happened because of a lot of warfare. A lot of kings became really corrupt, and they were spending a lot of money on luxury items and not really paying attention to the needs of the people in their empires. And so that left them open to downfall, and it left them open to a sneak attack by the Zhou dynasty. It's pronounced Zhou, but spelled Z-H-O-U. That's the next dynasty that takes control. So there you have it.